Hello, and welcome to the Vicars Watch Dibley.
The podcast where real priests talk about pop culture and what we've learned about faith, life and the church. We've watched Dibley. Now we're watching everything else. I'm Kate.
I'm Ross.
And I'm Ruthie, and today we are talking about probably the greatest Christmas story other than Jesus, which is the Muppet Christmas Carol. We are talking about all things to do with this film, our favourite bits of it, what we love, what the spirit of Christmas might be, and then we've got some Muppet-related activities and quizzes at the end. Well, a holy happy hello to you all.
Hello.
We're in our vicarages and you're listening in. We're ready and raring to talk about the Muppet Christmas Carol. We are very excited about this one, but first, we're going to have a few notices, aren't we, to kick off with. Kate, you've had a brilliant idea. What are we going to do on the pod?
Right, so I was exploring some of the Spotify for Podcasters features. That's a platform we use to upload. And they have a feature called Talk and Music. And we're going to try, for sometime close to Christmas, we're going to make a special Vicars Watch Dibley Carol service with our favourite carol suggestions and a little bit of talk about why we love those carols. Maybe a little bit of talk about the message of Christmas or something. Anyway, keep your ears tuned for this. Unfortunately, it will only be available on Spotify. Oh, that's sad, I know. But we'll also find a way to also share our favourite carols for those of you who don't listen to us on that platform as well.
Yeah, you'll be able to access it. You might just have to have ads and whatever. But will we be able to choose the specific type of song as well?
Yeah. I think basically any track that is on Spotify, we can add to...
Get ready for a punk and heavy metal Christmas, guys. Every carol that you love will suddenly be played at twice the speed with blast beats. It's going to be great. Cool. I should say as well, this is the first time I'm recording in my brand new house.
Ooh.
Brand new vicarage.
How is it?
Which is very exciting. It's very cold.
Oh, no.
You know, vicarages are normally cold, but this one is very cold. But it is amazing. We're so fortunate. It's such an amazing place. Started to get to know people a bit round here. There are horses just next door.
Oh, wow.
And we've discovered their names are Nero and Lily. So we now know the names of the horses next door. It's great. Yeah, we're having a good time. And I'm about to get licensed. By this time, I will have already been licensed for ages. But as we're recording, it's this week, which is exciting and terrifying and wonderful. So, yeah.
I've got a question, actually, for both of you. I mean, right now we're recording way ahead of Christmas, and this is probably going to be released still yet before Christmas. Yeah. So, if this is our Christmas special, though, can we wish each other a Merry Christmas or not?
Of course we can, because it's always Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys!
I actually found myself... insight to when we were recording, I had my final Harvest Festival, not this Sunday gone, but for one before, and I found myself literally, as I was tidying up after that harvest service, I was singing a Christmas song. So my brain's fully delving into Christmas mode now. And I'm planning lots of fun things. Managed to get some choirs at some of my different carol services, which is very exciting.
Oh, fun.
And today I was trying to investigate the Christmas Carol, which has been commissioned by the Church of England for 2023. Bob Chilcott's version of the first Noel. And so I was having a go to see whether that's learnable easily.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah. This is a thing the Church of England does now. They commission a Christmas Carol.
It's awesome.
A new setting of a traditional carol, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did do a little teaser on our social media about what we were recording today, and there were some very excited people when they worked out what we were doing, and people knew it immediately. So yes, today we are going to talk about the Muppet Christmas Carol, which we've all already said is one of our favourite, if not favourite, Christmas movie. Because it is fantastic. For those of you heathens who have never seen this film, it is the best. I think it was 1994. I think it might have come out. And it is the story of A Christmas Carol written by Charles Dickens, but done with Muppets. And the majority of the main cast is Muppets, apart from the character of Ebenezer Scrooge, who is played by the wonderful Michael Caine. He was just fantastic in this, isn't he? And because he plays it so seriously.
He's in a completely different movie for most of the film.
It's great.
He is acting it so seriously, and then he's having a really emotional beat with his acting, and then just a little puppet pops along over the screen. And this, I think, for many of us, for me at least, this feels like the Michael Caine movie. This is what I know him from.
Yeah, absolutely.
This and Austin Powers. But he's just retired from acting. So what a lovely time for us to be looking at Muppet Christmas Carol as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah. So it is fantastic, really great, full of songs and just wonderful. And I don't know about you guys, but I and my family have had a tradition of every Christmas Eve watching the Muppet Christmas Carol. Because of Bob Cratchit and him singing "After All, There's Only One More Sleep Till Christmas." So I always watch it Christmas Eve. Now, when me and my partner met, the trouble we had was that her family had the tradition of always watching Muppet Christmas Carol on the first Sunday of Advent. And so one of the biggest conflicts in our relationship has been the correct time to watch the Muppet Christmas Carol, of which, of course, I am completely right and she is wrong. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, don't drag us into this.
But do you always try and watch it every year, you two? Do you have a specific time, or are you...
I'm not as purist as you are. I do try to watch it sometime during Advent. I don't have a set time. My Christmases are usually quite chaotic, and so trying to find out when I'm going to do that kind of thing is just, okay, I've got time, I'm going to watch it now. Same here. I've got 3 movies I try to watch in the lead up to Christmas to get me in the spirit. One of them is A Muppet Christmas Carol. One of them, it's not really a movie, but the Peter Pan Goes Wrong. Oh, yeah.
And then one of them, I've mentioned this before, is
Snap,
the...
snap.
Snap, snap, snap. And then the final one is an obscure British film from 1999 called The Flint Street Nativity, which I think I have mentioned before.
I've never heard of it, though. I've never seen it.
It's a bunch of actors, British comedians, acting out, pretending to be children in a primary school nativity.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I love it. It's got Stephen Tompkinson, Neil Morrissey, John Thompson, Ralph Little, Frank Skinner, Jane Horrocks, Mark Addy, that whole group of 90s people you might recognise from things like I don't know, Coupling, Ab Fab, 2 pints of lager and a packet of chips. That era of British comedy, and I really love it.
Nice.
I have a little tradition of a Christmas film as well, that I always try to wrap my presents and watch White Christmas at the same time, because I love White Christmas. Yeah, that's one of my favourites as well. And this might be controversial, but I've come to a decision that I used to be very against this being judged as a Christmas movie. and I've totally flipped.
Wow,
And
here
so
we go.
I
Nat
declare
one.
that Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yes! Well done.
Yeah.
Welcome to the fold.
Thanks. I didn't believe it because I feel you could have watched it at other times of the year. But I did take my partner to go see it at the cinema around Christmas, and it was in the watching of that I had to come to the conclusion that Die Hard is a Christmas movie. But Bruce Willis says it isn't. So
Well, who really owns the film?
Death of the author and all that is up to the person who consumes the media to make the decision. What about Home Alone 1? Yes, obviously, Christmas movie, watch it every year. Do you watch Home Alone 2?
I was never into Home Alone particularly.
I've never seen Home Alone.
Never seen Home Alone?
Never seen it.
No, like I've seen enough clips of it to be aware of like the memes and the story and everything, but I've never seen it from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It's very worth it. I think Home Alone is also another one of my favourite Christmas movies, but not one I will necessarily have to watch in the lead up to Christmas. To bring us back to the Muppets, who is your favourite Muppet?
Rizzo. It's got to be Rizzo.
Rizzo, maybe Gonzo for me.
I'm thinking the Great Gonzo, but I do also love Miss Piggy.
Yeah, Queen.
She is a queen. She is a camp icon and a fashionista, and I love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got such a great sense of style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
And she's very, she knows who she is and she knows what she wants. And she's not going to let anyone dictate that for her. I like that.
Love a diva.
Used to really like Animal as well.
Oh, Animal. Yeah, complete babe. I love him in this film. he's playing the party and is just so frustrated that it's so slow and just goes, rah, 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 and starts like drumming. It's amazing.
Beaker, I think, as well, is probably one of my favourites.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Ruthie.
Beaker is also great. What's the name of the actual Muppet who plays Fozziwig in this?
Fozzie.
Is it
Bear.
just Fozzie?
Fozzie Bear.
Fozzie Bear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waka, waka, waka.
And Statler and Waldorf have always got to have a
yeah.
shout out as well because they are just fantastic.
So basically the answer is every Muppet. Every Muppet
Yeah.
except
We
maybe
haven't
Kermit,
talked about
strangely
Kermit.
enough.
We've not
I
mentioned
do like Kermit. He's just lovely and sweet, isn't he?
Well, at some point we're going to talk about. I've had a go at trying to cast a nativity play with the Muppets, and I made what I think is a fairly controversial choice, but we'll get there.
Oh, wow.
Later.
Okay.
Ooh.
Shall we talk about the Muppets a bit more? Let's talk about
Yes.
Christmas Carol. Ross.
Yeah. Okay. So, Muppet Christmas Carol, favourite Christmas film, best Christmas film ever. And actually is probably one of the truest, most faithful adaptations of Charles Dickens's novella. When I grew up...
Apart from one thing,
what's that?
I genuinely thought that there were two Marleys in the book.
Oh, yes.
Because of the Christmas Carol, Muppet Christmas Carol. I had no idea till probably I was in my late 20s, early 30s, that actually in the novel there is only one
There's
Marley.
only one Marley. Yeah, there's only one Marley brother. Yeah.
Also, I may be making this up, but I thought in the novella it's actually over 3 nights that Scrooge gets his visitations. Am I wrong? I might be wrong.
I mean,
no idea.
you're
I've
asking
never
a
read it.
podcast of people who may not have actually read the novella, because actually the Muppet Christmas Carol is all that you need.
Amen. Amen.
I've got somewhere in my head that
That's
I picked up
very
from
possible.
somewhere that it's not just in one night,
Okay.
but I might be wrong.
Certainly, Muppet Christmas Carol, everything happens in one night. You've got so Michael Caine is playing Ebenezer Scrooge, somebody who is a moneylender. He's very tight-fisted. He's a landlord who is not generous, not kind.
And badly dressed.
How dare you? He goes. He hates Christmas, and we see various ways in which he is cruel to people around Christmas time. And on the night of Christmas Eve, in the movie at least, he is haunted by the ghosts of his old business partners, the Marley brothers. And they tell him, you're going to be haunted by 3 spirits, and they are the ghosts of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas yet to come. And with everything that Scrooge encounters through these ghosts, he ends up being challenged and ends up, spoiler alert, mending his ways. And it ends with a sort of a conversion and generosity of heart and a very happy Christmas.
It's a redemption story.
It is a redemption story, absolutely. And I watched it as a kid a lot. I think we had it recorded on a VHS off the telly.
Classic.
But also just the trailer itself on other Disney videos that we had were there's a trailer and it's kind of iconic in its own right. So I loved it growing up because it's colourful and it's funny and it's a sweet story. But then watching it again and listening to the music as an adult, and I think going through training and everything and learning more about theology and everything, all of a sudden the film hit me in a whole different way. And now I can't watch it without crying because it is such a beautiful summation of the Christian gospel to my eyes. And a couple of years ago, it was coming out of the pandemic. I'm a chaplain for a summer school for a theatre group up in Yorkshire called Riding Lights. And the theme for the week was joy. It was the first summer school after the pandemic. We were all together on site, and I would do a series of morning prayers. And I thought, summer communities never get to do Christmas, so let's do Christmas morning prayers. And I included a reflection on songs from the Muppet Christmas Carol. And again, they just make me cry because there is so much deep, beautiful wisdom and good news within them.
Is there a specific moment that makes you cry? Is it a specific song or anything like that? Or is it the whole...
The one,
it changes every year.
The one that never fails to make me cry is the song sung by the Ghost of Christmas Present, It Feels Like Christmas.
It feels like
Christmas. And if I haven't started crying by that point, that's the turning point. But sometimes it's literally you play it and the overture starts and I'm gone. I'm a mess. But one of the things I love, especially about that song, I mean the whole lyrics are everything, but it talks about Christmas. In all the places you find love, it feels like Christmas. It is the season of the heart, a special time of caring, the ways of love made clear. And it is the season of the Spirit. The message, if we hear it, is make it last all year. And to me, there's something so gorgeous about how at Christmas we can sometimes see the very best of love and humanity. And the challenge is, how do we make that Christmas spirit last all year rather than just leaving it at the end of December?
Yes, and one of the things Christmas Carol does really well, and actually specifically the Muppet Christmas Carol does through the songs, is communicate what Christmas spirit is, in terms of, so what are the values, what are the qualities that we should be pursuing, not just at Christmas but in life, and it's warmth, generosity, charity, gentleness, love, family, and sort of rest from work, which you can interpret as sort of a Sabbath mentality as well. Also food, which is a very strong message in the Muppet Christmas Carol.
Thanks to Rizzo.
One of the first lines is, "And I am here for the food." I wrote that down. But you're right. There's a really clear message in the music. Do you think? And I'm asking this not because I'm necessarily trying to challenge you, but the lyrics don't mention Jesus or God. there's one line, I think, where towards the end Scrooge says, with a grateful prayer and a thankful heart.
Yeah.
But there's very little explicit faith in the film.
True. I always come back to there are a couple of things where Jesus and sort of the origins of Christmas are kind of alluded to. The Ghost of Christmas Present talks about 1,800 of his brothers have come before him. But also there is a song which is sung by the Cratchit family, which is Kermit and Miss Piggy and their piggy and froggy children, called Bless Us All. And
Bless us all.
I mean, I've already been set off. It's so gorgeous, and it's basically a prayer, and there is a bit in it which I interpret in any case. Well, you got things like let us always love each other, lead us to the light, teach us in our dreams, and please, yes, please, bless us one and all. And then we reach for you, and we stand tall, and in our dreams and in our prayers and dreams, we ask you, bless us all.
Bless us all.
I mean, we could probably just recite the movie, couldn't we, right now?
Yeah.
You know.
So, yeah, do you think, we said there isn't a vicar in A Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah,
but
we were musing on that before, weren't we?
Does Tiny Tim play, maybe not a kind
He
of
has
a
the priestly role, doesn't he?
He has that. He is the one who brings faith into the conversation. He's the one who sparks the conversion for oh my goodness, oh dear,
Scrooge.
now this is what we're going to. He sparks a conversion for Scrooge because it's his death which inspires
his perspective
which
death.
is really causes Scrooge to change his ways, and in a way Tim comes back from the dead from Scrooge's perspective.
Sure.
And Scrooge also has his old self dies, and his new self is born on Christmas morning. My goodness, this is getting extreme.
Resurrection stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that.
Tiny Tim has that line about, well, not Tiny Tim, but Kermit speaks about that he'd hoped that people had seen him in church and remembered who made blind men see and lame beggars walk. Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
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 If he's not a like priest figure, he's definitely a bit of a saint, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, we'll have done All Saints and All Souls and all this.
He's pure of heart.
Yeah. And small of stature.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's one of the best, wonderful characters in this. And if we dwell on him too much longer, I think at least 2/3 of us will start blubbing.
Do either of you have a favourite song from the Muppet Christmas Carol?
I really love all the songs. I think Bless Us All Everyone is one I really do love. And Ghost of Christmas Presents one I really also love. Oh, I just love them all. They're too good. The songs are all too good to pick a favourite.
I also really like Marley and Marley, which is a song between Statler and Waldorf. And yeah, but it's that warning song, and again, there's some really great sort of faith stuff in there as they reflect. They're kind of recounting their sins. There's something almost of a confession about it.
Yeah.
We specialised in causing pain, spreading fear and doubt. And if you could not pay the rent, we simply threw you out. And I mean, it's so current as well. So many of these things, we look back to the Victorian stories and Victorian age and think, gosh, how terrible it was. But actually, a lot of these are very current, prescient issues for people. And we can't, perhaps we need a conversion of heart for some of those who are in leadership in our own country at the moment. There's this great line that they have in that song: as freedom comes from giving love, so prison comes with hate. And again, going back to sort of that gospel message of pure love bringing freedom and liberation, leading us into truth.
In a completely different track, I also really like just the little snippet of a song that the bookkeepers sing. This is our island in the sun. It always makes me laugh.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of my first big laughs of a movie.
I love that. My favourite song is definitely going to be After All It's Only One More Sleep Till Christmas, because it's always the one that whenever I've watched it with my parents, you can just see them getting excited. Like my mum's nose will wrinkle up and my dad will get all giddy because we watch it on Christmas Eve normally. Although I haven't watched it with them on Christmas Eve for years now, but it's one of those things that just has so much nostalgia for me. And you've got the Penguins Christmas skating party and all of this stuff happening at the same time. And it's the moment for me, especially now we work Christmas. It's sometimes you can peak too early with Christmas and be like us who are recording in October and be like, oh, I could feel quite festive now. Or you can get towards the kind of the last bits, you're like, oh, my Christmas spirit's running low. And so for me, that point in that song, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's time. And, you know, the Christmas is tomorrow. We celebrate Jesus' birth. And, so...
There's definitely something when you work Christmas and Christmas becomes an extended season and you're celebrating Christmas multiple times, not just through December, but sometimes even November as well. You know, for me, I have so many carol services and Christmas assemblies and other Christmas events, and I love it. But it does mean that when you actually reach Christmas, sometimes you're already a bit burnt out by Christmas, because your Advent has been spent celebrating Christmas instead of necessarily in Advent expectation. So there's something about finding the joyful expectation of Christmas Eve, either through the rituals of watching a specific film, or listening to a specific piece of music, or lots of clergy. There's the clergy malt club, so coming back from midnight mass and having a quiet tipple. Or I've started now. I've only done it one year, but it's happening again this year. I'm going to be preparing the Christmas veg in between the crib service and midnight mass. So I imagine it's going to start to grow into some sort of preparation. I need to pick a Christmas album to listen to or watch a movie or something while doing it. What about you, Ross? How do you recapture the expectation?
Well, I mean, you talked about what you did last Christmas Eve. I went out in between the crib service and midnight mass. I caught up with friends. They were having an Indian, and then we went for cocktails. And then I was like, I've got to go now. I've got mass in an hour.
How many cocktails did you have before mass?
I curbed myself. I was very careful.
So you didn't have there was that Vicars Dibley episode, which I think we called our episode about it Midnight Smashed, where she did midnight mass completely trolleyed.
When I was in my curacy, we had a tradition of so my training incumbent would have a party and have people over for dinner in between the Christmas Eve carol service and then midnight mass. And we got to the church. I was preaching and he was presiding, but there was a bit when we were standing at the altar where we realised we'd probably had one glass too many. I went, oh, this is merry. And it was absolutely wonderful. And actually, you're a little bit delirious anyway because it's been such a long day.
Yeah.
And you're pushing yourself to be awake when really you would be in bed. And it just adds to the fuzziness and the warmth and the coziness. Midnight Mass is one of my favourite services.
It's such a good service.
Yeah.
There's a special magic about it that you don't find at any other time. And I love it. So
and linked to our film, I tend to quote heavily Muppet Christmas Carol in midnight mass services, and when it gets to midnight, quite often do a God bless us, everyone.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
adorable. But when it comes to Christmas itself, sometimes it does feel a bit like an anticlimax.
Yeah.
And I've been wrestling with that, I guess, a little bit. And I think part of me is kind of okay with that.
Yeah.
Because actually, when we think about the Christmas story, it's something that you get very excited for, but then actually there's something very mundane and everyday about the birth of Jesus. And, you know, he grows up, but, you know, you've got all of the stuff where it's kind of like, okay, so he needs feeding. He's going to need changing, as it were. You know,
born in a stable. That is not the environment.
So there's something just very kind of okay. Well, we get on with life.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on, you know, we alluded to earlier, thinking about Christmas spirit and, if, you know, the challenges to make it last all year. But that's not the same as the hype, I would argue.
Yeah.
Of getting ready for Christmas. Actually, there's something about Christmas spirit, perhaps, which is different.
Yeah, I think there's something which is, there is a uniqueness to the festival, which I've been, you know, back and forth through the years of, like you, Ross, there was I think particularly during my teenage years, late teenage years, where my parents moved away and I stayed in Carlisle to do a gap year there. And I had my first Christmas where it really felt like it wasn't Christmas, because my parents decided now we'd all moved out, they weren't doing stockings anymore, and suddenly and my mum wasn't even getting a Christmas tree. So just like the whole Christmas routine was gone. And I was so upset that year. And then the next decade has been kind of rebuilding and reinvestigating what the Christmas traditions are for me, and what is Christmas the festival versus Christmas the faith celebration. And I think for me they're linked but separate. I think the Christmas spirit, which we're supposed to carry through all the year, is about generosity and Jesus Christ born anew in us. Each year, each day, and us celebrating that rebirth and the light in the darkness. But then, in terms of the actual routine and the rituals, discovering where I encountered that most in the celebrations. So midnight mass, definitely one of them. Crib service, I love doing the crib service. That really same. Feels, I think for me, that's when it's like, it's Christmas now. Then that's very closely followed by midnight mass. And then on Christmas Day, I think for me, last year we had a family Christmas again for the first time in a while, in terms of my siblings had come down, and we had a meal all together in my vicarage. And all of us said afterwards, you know, that's the best Christmas we've had in a while. And then this year, my aunt's coming over, and my parents and my aunt are going to have Christmas again, lunch at my house after the Christmas service. So it feels like there's starting to be something there. And I think for me, there's something about hospitality with family on the Christmas festival itself, which is really important for me.
What's Christmas spirit for you, Ruthie?
Yeah, I think Kate's right there in about love and generosity, and it's kind of the best of people together. If we're taking this in a really secular approach, which this is, you know, a secular film, although there's hints to faith, as we've already talked about. It is that, you know, banding together and seeing value in people, and you know, joy and all this kind of stuff combined, and I think generosity really is the key one there, and understanding people's woes and difficulties and being sympathetic to them. And that's something that Scrooge really learns in this movie, because like there's the there's the bit at the beginning with the tenant, and it comes in, and he throws him out, and he's like, "Please don't shout at me," and then "That's the truth," and "Thank you for not shouting at me."
Yeah.
And he's like, right, he's evicted. He has no compassion for the circumstances that he's in, and I think that's something that we can do as society, of not understand people's circumstances and go and decide that we're not going to listen to their reasoning for things, and we're just going to go, this is the way that we're going to do it, because there isn't that generosity and understanding of people and circumstances.
And I think there's something about, as well, with this particular film, something I'd never really picked up on before watching it again last night, which was that actually love is not something which Scrooge is familiar with, an emotional warmth, even from childhood. Mm-hmm. And we're shown that and told that he's not brought home at Christmas as a child. We know he has at least one sibling.
Yeah.
Because he has a nephew, but he's not close to that sibling. There isn't
I was thinking, what?
There isn't that familial nurture in his life. So he's trained from an early age that you have to work hard, and that's where you get your fulfillment in life, and that you shouldn't expect emotional warmth from others. So then he gets engaged, and he's already in this mindset of emotional warmth isn't what's important. What's important is financial security. So that's what he prioritised in his relationship with Belle.
Yeah.
But then by the end of his encounters with the spirits, what he's learnt is that you can have family and closeness with people around you. And there's that line in his final song, which is, "Every girl and boy will be niece and nephew to me."
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's something there about he has discovered not just gentleness and charity, but he's very much encountered love and compassion and forgiveness. And he then wants to share that with others as well.
Right before that final song, there's a really lovely encounter where he meets up with Bunsen and Beaker, and he donates a lot of money to the orphanage, and then Beaker gives Scrooge his red scarf, and Michael Caine plays it amazingly. It's such a sweet, tender moment as he receives a gift, and it's like, wow, actually, this is a man who has probably never received a gift in his life, and here is somebody giving him just the basic red scarf, and he wears it for the rest of the film, and his ability to be loved and to receive love, as well as to be able to give it in that final scene, is so huge too.
Yeah, if not the first gift he's received, it's definitely the first gift he's received without, while understanding that he doesn't need to give something in return. This isn't something he has to pay for. It doesn't put him in debt. That actually, this is, this is freely given, which I think brings us back to the love of God again.
Yeah, this is my kind of key thought throughout the whole film, was thinking about deeds and works, and that Scrooge has this whole attitude of you've got to do stuff, and you've got to do things to make yourself successful, and you've got to do, trample on people to get higher and higher and higher, and then he has this flip and he changes round, and then he does all this stuff to make up for it. And I feel like sometimes that's the thought that people can have about Christianity. It's all about doing things that, and actually that's not the case. It can feel like that in some other religions, that actually it's only through doing certain things in which you are saved or you are good enough and things like that. But the idea behind Christianity is that, you are good enough. You are loved and you are good enough. Yeah. And from that, you may choose to do certain things. And from that, you are kind of saved. You are, that's an outworking of your Christian faith. It's the thought process. But I'm not quite sure if Ebenezer fully gets that in this film, that
No.
he has this change of heart, but does he feel he has to earn it? Does he have to do things in order to do it? And I wondered what you thought about that.
So for me, I sort of, the way I distill that whole conversation is thinking about salvation and sanctification. So salvation is given to us freely. That's what we receive from God when we turn to Christ and we accept the forgiveness which is offered to us, and we have unending new starts and new beginnings with God because of his great love and generosity. And then because of that, we are inspired to do good works, which then is a process of sanctification, making us more and more holy. The works themselves do not save us, but they do lead us to being more and more like Christ, because we are acting like Christ and we are imitating Christ. That's how, for me, at least, I understand it in my own experience.
I think I've been thinking a lot about the conversion of heart, and I preached just this Sunday just gone on hardness of heart, and we see in Scrooge a hardness of heart, but by his spiritual encounter on that that Christmas night, his heart is broken, and there are multiple breakings. It breaks because he begins to understand and to have compassion for those that he typically ignores and hates, the poor and the sick, that he thinks should would be better off dead and stop contributing to the surplus population. There's an element of fear as he's faced with his own mortality. He will die, and actually what will be of him? How will people remember him and speak of him? So there are multiple sort of conversions of heart in that night, and as his heart becomes more vulnerable, I suppose, and he's able to love others, that in turn generates an enthusiasm, a will to do kind things.
Yeah.
But it comes from that spiritual encounter.
Yeah. In many ways, at the end of A Christmas Carol, it's actually the start of Scrooge's story.
Yeah.
And I think what we see is there's a desperation in his kindness and generosity, particularly in A Muppet Christmas Carol, because I did comment to myself, feels a bit creepy, just the way he suddenly decides he has built this relationship with Tiny Tim in particular, and an emotional attachment to the Crotchets, which is very much one-sided, and he's just going to appear at their house with generous gifts and a whole crowd of people, and I just think, reel it back a little bit there, sweetheart. That's a bit extreme.
Miss Piggy is fantastic in that scene, isn't she? Where she just defends the doorway and Kermit the Frog's like, it's okay, darling. No, it's fine. And she's like, I'm gonna smack you.
So I'm gonna raise your salary. She's like, I'm gonna raise you right off the pavement.
But there's a beginning there, and it's very much not the end of Scrooge's story. And one of the things I was reflecting on is, has this changed Scrooge's death, or is he still going to get ill and pass away in a few years' time? But what will change will be how people react to his absence.
Yeah, I mean the closing song has life is like a journey. Who knows when it ends? Yes, and if you need to know the measure of a man, you simply count his friends. Stop and look around you. The glory that you see is born again each day. Don't let it slip away. How precious life can be. And then he says, with a thankful heart that is wide awake, I do make this promise. Every breath I take will be used now to sing your praise.
Used now to sing your praise.
And to beg you to share my days.
Beg you to share my days.
With a loving guarantee that even if we part, I will hold you close with a thankful heart. Sorry for...
Which is a wonderful place
Sorry, everyone.
to, I think, move on to... I'm desperate to do this. Can we talk about a Muppet nativity, please?
Yes, please.
Amazing. Yes.
I was thinking about this while I was watching the movie. Apparently, there was a Muppet nativity ages ago, but they didn't actually use the Muppets. They made special Mary, Joseph, and Jesus human-like puppets for it.
I mean, I can imagine that is the culturally sensitive thing to do.
Let's change that.
Yeah.
Right. So I've written this down. Firstly, the first question we need to work out is this a play, as in the Muppets are putting on a nativity play, or is it like A Christmas Carol and it's a reenactment? Because that's going to change how I would suggest we cast Mary and Joseph.
Okay.
I mean, like a nativity play feels slightly less heretical.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you think, Ross?
I'm down for the play. Like, if they were going to be putting on a play, if it kind of fits in with their whole like backstage Muppet Show vibes.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, if this was a reenactment, I think Mary and Joseph would be the two humans in the cast.
Oh, okay.
If it's a nativity play, I'm going to suggest, and this is a little bit controversial because they're from Sesame Street Muppets rather than the Muppets. Zoe and Elmo as Mary and Joseph. To really lean into the nativity.
No, for me, I think Gonzo would be a great Mary.
But Gonzo's got Camilla the chicken. I've cast Gonzo somewhere else, but okay.
I think Gonzo would be an amazing Mary, and Gonzo is non-binary. That is official. So is able to
Gonzo
play.
and Rizzo as Mary and Joseph.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
I love it.
I think I'm down with that personally.
Okay.
Sorry, that's just because I'm a
let's-
Muppet purist, and Sesame Street could do one.
Yeah.
Let's I want to hear your cast first. And
Yes.
then,
No. Sorry. Yeah. That's...
we
So
could,
I had either
tell you how it's
or
wrong.
maybe brand new Muppets for Mary and Joseph.
Yeah,
I feel like
that's
those are two
potential as well.
characters. They sort of need to be separate from the chaos of everything else.
Mhm.
Okay, then Elizabeth and Zacharias. I had as
wow.
Miss Piggy and Kermit.
Wow, this is
okay.
this is
Like-
a hardline nativity play.
Hardline nativity.
I'm into this.
And I've given them I've given Piggy and Kermit very minor roles, which I think most
Yeah.
people who like the Muppets might find a bit controversial. But I just
Yeah.
thought they sort of fit that. And maybe John the Baptist is Robin the Frog. I thought that might be quite cute.
Little
Okay,
Tiny
that-
Tim's
yeah.
back. Yeah.
Tiny Tim.
Yeah, Rizzo, Gabriel I had as Rizzo. I thought Rizzo would be a good Gabriel. And then all the other angels could be Rizzo's siblings.
Oh my gosh, all the other rats. Yep.
Then shepherds. This is where I started getting stuck. So actually, I'll come back to them because I casted others before for shepherds. Herod. I thought maybe Statler and Waldorf have twin Herods.
Great.
Fun. Okay.
The Magi. Dr. Buns and Honeydew, Beaker and Sam Eagle.
Nice. Yeah.
Innkeepers. I divvied over this. I think the Swedish chef should be in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Dr. Keith and Electric Mayhem and Animal could be innkeepers, but they should definitely be in the inn. And maybe they don't answer the door because they're playing music too loud.
Yeah, they're like the house band. Yeah.
Maybe Scooter or Rolf.
Oh, Rolf.
I could sort of see that, but Rolf might make a better shepherd. We've also got Fozzie and Gonzo. I had them as shepherds.
Yeah.
And then
That's
Camilla
nice.
the chicken among the sheep. But I could see Gonzo and Camilla be really good innkeepers as well.
Yeah.
That was sort of my casting.
That's
But
really
then I had another
interesting.
question. So if Jesus... This was really most relevant if... is Jesus a Muppet or not? Because if Jesus is human and not a Muppet when all the other Muppets are Muppets, then what does this mean for the incarnation?
I feel like
These are the questions that matter, listeners.
Yeah. That does say something about incarnation. If there's no humans in it, then yeah, you need
then
a
Jesus has
Muppet.
to be a Muppet.
I feel like Jesus would be alluded to, but not actually seen. So it would be like a light in the manger or something like that.
No, I think I would put I would have the baby Jesus as the only living character, like human character.
Yeah. just an actual baby.
But what does that say
Yeah.
about the incarnation?
We give him blue hair or something. I quite like the idea of Rizzo and Gonzo now as Mary and Joseph. I think that's hilarious. But I also feel it probably ought to be Kermit and Piggy. Although Miss Piggy as Herod would also be hilarious.
See, I really wouldn't want Kermit and Piggy as Mary and Joseph. I don't feel like that's the best for me. I just didn't feel like the best role for them.
Do you feel that Miss Piggy would not be a very good Virgin Mary?
I think that Mary and Joseph need to be. I don't know. I just think there's just something about Piggy and Kermit's relationship which just doesn't fit the dynamics well for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. It just doesn't.
Well, they're both complicated relationships, aren't they?
I also was wondering about them as Mary's parents. Because I'd really love that encounter. I'd love that scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder whether I'm doing a whole very different direction to you. Part of me is thinking, actually, maybe they're the innkeeper and innkeeper's wife, and she's, and so actually you get some comedy there. She's sort of telling them, "No, you can go in the stable," kind of thing.
Yeah.
But part of me is also quite likes the idea of the angel being Fozzie. With a host of chickens being like the heavenly host in the sky. I quite like that visually.
And if Gonzo was a shepherd at that point, that would be a really funny scene with Gonzo looking at all the chickens.
I did wonder about what's the band called? Is it the Electric
Mr.
Six?
Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
They could be all the angels, couldn't they? In this
Yeah,
that would have been. That's a good musical number opportunity there as well.
A good musical number opportunity.
I do like the idea of Bunsen and Beaker and
Sam the Eagle as well. Yeah, that's spot on casting.
My alternate for that was Kermit, Fozzie, and Gonzo as the Magi. In terms of the role they play in the Muppets, like in the cast and relationships.
Sure.
Yeah.
They're sort of the.
Yeah.
Dear listeners, how would you cast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where have we got this horribly wrong, and where? Yeah. That's a good thought, because there's this meme running around a lot at the moment about if you were to have a Muppet film with only one character being the human, and they did this for Jane Austen recently. Which one would it be? So yeah, if you were casting Nativity, let us know which Muppet should be in which role.
And what about other Bible stories?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You could have a lot of fun there.
Yeah.
They've missed a trick doing.
Surely this is just VeggieTales.
Bible. But is that just VeggieTales? Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
I don't think I would be able to envision Muppet Bible stories without it just being the VeggieTales.
It's just VeggieTales, which niche. That was excellent idea with a nativity, but I believe you've got more fun planned for us all as well.
I've got more fun. I found on MuppetCentral.com a Muppets Christmas Carol trivia quiz.
Bring it on.
Bring it
Let's
on.
go.
Bring it on. It has 20 questions. I'll try to do this quickly.
Oh wow! Are we in We're in this together, aren't we?
It's a team.
As a team.
Team
Okay.
effort, okay.
Okay. Question 1. At the beginning of the Muppet Christmas Carol, what are Rizzo and Gonzo selling? And we have some options. A.
Apples.
Wax fruit. B. Christmas apples. C. Belgian chocolates. Or D. Rubber chickens.
It's apples.
I reckon we could do this without the options.
Okay.
And then if we get stuck,
I'll give you
us
the
the
options.
options.
I'm feeling that cocky about it.
2. In the song Scrooge, a Muppet gives a puppet show using a punch puppet and a crocodile. Which puppet originally performed these puppets on the Senor Wences episode of the Muppet Show?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
This is extreme.
Wow,
Okay.
okay.
There are
need
some
one
options
for
here. Beauregard, Marvin Suggs, New Zealand, or Fozzie Bear?
No idea.
That is hardcore knowledge. Okay,
That
I
is
wasn't
hardcore
expecting
knowledge.
that. I'm going to say Beauregard.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one.
3. What wise lesson did Rizzo learn from his mother?
It's never...
Eat singing fruit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the options. Let's go with that. Never eat singing food. How many children does the Cratchit family have?
4.
4, yeah.
4.
2 pigs, 2 frogs.
Do you want us to name
How
them?
many brothers and sisters did Rizzo say that he had? I know this one. 1,274.
Wow.
I wrote it down.
I knew it was in the
You're never a
thousands,
lonely
but yeah.
child.
Who performed Bettina Cratchit? Oh, the voice, not the... Oh my goodness, how are we supposed to know this? Options:
Linda.
Steve Whitney, Dave Goles, Jerry Nelson, David Rudman.
I think it's the second one.
Dave.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave.
Oh my goodness. Which I really shouldn't have been so cocky about this. Which Fraggle Rock character did not appear in this movie? Sprocket, Inkspots, Skenfrith, or Murray?
I don't know
I've
them.
never watched Fraggle Rock.
I don't know them.
I don't know
Pick one.
Fraggle Rock.
C, Skenfrith. When in doubt, choose C. Statistically. What song did the bookkeeper rats sing to show Mr. Scrooge that there was a heat wave after his refusal of extra coal?
This is our island in the sun.
The sun.
Bunsen and Beaker were asking for donations for which charity?
I'll know it when I hear it.
Okay. Order of Victoria Charity Foundation. It's that one. I think. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Other options are Foundation of Fumbling Scientists, Organisation of Homeless Rodents, and Order of Elizabethan Society of Children. It's Order
Yeah.
of Victoria
Victorian.
because I remember thinking, should that be Victorian? Anyway, what Christmas carol is Bean Bunny singing when Mr. Scrooge
King
opens the
Wenceslas
door?
looked out on the feast of Stephen.
What did Rizzo yell when Gonzo was lighting the street lamps?
Light the lamp, not the right.
Light the lamp, not the red.
What was Fozziwig's factory the manufacturer of?
Rubber
Rubber
chickens.
chickens.
We're feeling better about this now.
Yeah.
What was the Swedish chef serving at Fozziwig's Christmas party?
Grapes.
Singing grapes.
Singing grapes.
Which instrument was Janice playing when the Electric Mayhem was performing at Fozziwig's party?
Oh.
Is she not on the bass?
I was going to say.
Yeah, because she's a guitarist.
Yeah.
She was wearing... All I remember was she was wearing this ridiculous hat.
What are the options?
Guitar, trombone, flute, or bongos? Should we say guitar?
Guitar.
'Cause
Yeah, let's go try guitar. Could be the...
I imagine she'd play what she normally plays, and that's
Yeah.
guitar or bass. What does Beaker give to Mr. Scrooge in exchange for his generous donation?
Oh, the scarf.
Red
Scarf.
scarf.
What does Mr. Scrooge ask Bean Bunny to buy for him to take to Bob Cratchit?
The turkey
the
that's
turkey in the
bigger than
window.
him.
Prize turkey. For what would Scrooge win a prize?
Oh.
Say that again.
Oh, it's the song.
If you won the
means
prize
a
for
way of
being
life.
mean, the winner would be him.
Yeah.
For being
Mean.
mean. Which spirit was absent-minded?
A large unminded spirit.
Present.
Present, yeah.
What did Waldorf and Statler say it was good to be doing again?
Anything.
Anything. It's good to be heckling again. It's good to be doing anything again. Oh!
Heckling. What
Heckling.
did Gonzo say Rizzo had? Why did Gonzo say Rizzo had all the luck?
Oh, because he fell on the turkey through the chimney.
Because he fell down. Options are because he fell down a chimney onto a flaming hot goose. Because
Yes.
he caught on fire.
Goose.
Because he fell from Scrooge's window. Because he had jelly beans. Okay,
No,
shall I
instead of
get the
falling down
score?
the chimney on the goose.
Shall I get the score?
Yeah.
Yeah.
90%.
Yes!
Yes.
What did we get wrong?
Janice was playing trombone.
Oh,
was she?
The Fraggle was Skenfrith, and the voice actor for Bettina was Steve Whitmere.
Oh.
Other than that, we got it right.
I'm not
Bettina.
ashamed of that performance.
No.
I'm Belinda.
Whatever.
Oh, thanks for bringing us that, Ross.
Thank
That was
you.
so great to talk about one of our favourite Christmas movies. And given how enthusiastic the rest of you were on social media about it, I really hope you've enjoyed this and you've been quoting along with us through it all. It's been good to talk about the movie, some of our favourite bits, the nostalgia with it, a bit about how Christmas is for clergy over this time, and what is the spirit of Christmas all about, as well as casting a fantastic nativity and doing really quite well in the quiz, I would say.
Yeah, go us.
We've not shamed ourselves. So, in this season of Advent, why not find yourself a carol service to go have a look at? There's lots of wonderful singing things happening, probably in churches all around you. They might not sing songs from the Muppet Christmas Carol, but you may well hear quotes from the Muppet Christmas Carol, because I think all vicars do that. And also have a think about how you can hold the spirit of Christmas in your hearts all year long. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Vicars Watch Dibley. Thank you to Toby for editing our ramblings.
Any opinions expressed are our own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Church of England or any other organisation with which we are affiliated.
If you like our podcast, leave us a review, follow us on social media, and share it with your friends. And, as always, bless you for listening.
If you visit Scrooge's house, be prepared to be disappointed by his limited drinks cabinet.
Oh?
He only has 3 spirits.
Hey! Nice. Nice.
I like that.